Now, the legislative arm of government in Edo State have been enveloped in turmoil for weeks now. The trouble is over the election and inauguration of a new speaker. Though all 24 members of the State House of Assembly belong to the All Progressives Congress, they are loyal to different masters. A faction of the House is loyal to the incumbent governor, Godwin Obaseki, and the other to former Governor Adams Oshiomhole. 9 members of the House, allegedly prompted by the state governor, hurriedly met at night to inaugurate the House and also elect a speaker, a development which has deepened the rift between Messrs. Oshiomhole and Governor Obaseki. Good afternoon and welcome to Standpoint. I'm Ibrahim Shita. So joining me from our Abuja studio is a member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Yusuf Gagidi. He is the lawmaker representing Kanke, Pakshin, and Kanam Federal Constituency of Plateau State. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Now, the Senate has asked Governor Godwin Obaseki to issue a fresh proclamation letter for the Edo State House of Assembly within 1 week. The House of Representatives had on July the 17th given a 1-week ultimatum to the governor to do the same. So the National Assembly says if Governor Obaseki fails to do so, it will invoke Section 11, subsection 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which allows it to take over the functions of the State Assembly. Do you think the National Assembly's intention to take over the Edo State House of Assembly, failure by the governor, if the state to issue the fresh proclamation, will be the right decision?
Yes, I think the Senate have equally done what the House of Representative Committee, that is our committee that was mandated to investigate Edo House of Assembly issue. They have done the same thing. 2 things would have happened to our report. If the Senate have not given similar recommendation with that of House of Representatives, I think there would have been a great problem. But for the fact that there is a consensus between the 2 reports, the 1 week that the House of Reps had earlier given the Edo State Governor will only come to effect if the Senate had also submitted their report. They have done that last week, and I think it is left for the governor of Edo to find a way of implementing the position of the National Assembly, that is the House of Representatives and that of the Senate. Be rest assured that if the governor did not comply with those positions, I'm very sure that the National Assembly will be left with no option than to employ the service of Section 11, subsection 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Anyway, the fact that we couldn't evoke that section, yeah.
How would you then react to the opposing views? As for instance, an elder statesman, Edwin Clark, said that that will be unconstitutional for it to be done.
How is it unconstitutional? Are we using the House rule? Are we using any different laws to take over the activities of the Edo State House of Assembly? How is it unconstitutional? We are still using the same provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to exercise our powers by ensuring that there is the problem of Edo State Assembly is solved. Here is an assembly of 24 members, and only 12 seems to be operating the State Assembly. And the only law that says 2 things happen. 1, court should decide. While awaiting court decision, the National Assembly will be left with no option than to take over the legislative activities of Edo State Assembly, pending the position of the court of law. So if you say it is unconstitutional, are we acting, assuming we are taking over the activities of Edo State Assembly, are we doing it based on the doctrine of necessity or based on the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? The position of that Section 11, subsection 4 is very clear. So for anybody, elder statesman, lawyer, or whosoever that feel to ventilate his view by saying that the actions of the National Assembly is unconstitutional, I think people have right to say whatever they want to say to please their intention and sentiments. But if, assuming today, National Assembly take over Edo State House of Assembly, based on the fact that it is only 12 members that are operating the State Assembly instead of 24, we are still in line with the law. Mind you, we are not saying we will take over and maybe allow the system to continue like that. We can only come in and allow the judiciary do its job. At the end of the day, if whatever the judicial pronouncement is, the National Assembly is a respecter of a democratic trinity. We are respecting the principle of federal character at all levels. So So that is the position of
right.
the National
Let us see the same constitution. In section 102 of the 1999 constitution, which stipulates that a House of Assembly may act notwithstanding any vacancy in its membership, and the presence or participation of any person not entitled to be present at or to participate in the proceedings of the House shall not invalidate such proceedings. Isn't that valid? Are you not considering that particular provision in the Constitution?
If that, we are respecting that particular position of the Constitution, but you are misinterpreting that section. That section, if all things being equal, that section stands. But whenever there seems to be disagreement in a particular state assembly, section 11 subsection 4 donates power to the National Assembly to take over legislative activities of such parliament, pending on when the issue at dispute is being resolved. So I think there is no contradiction between the two sections. There are two different sections that talk about two different things. In the case of the section you earlier quoted, is if things being equal, if there is no crisis, if there is no division, if the activities of the legislature is operating, if all the 24 members in the case of Edo are participating, I think National Assembly doesn't have any right to say that they will take over the legislative function. But if there is an issue, you expect that there should be solution to that problem. And the only solution the Constitution provides to Edo and Bauchi scenario is section 11 subsection 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
It looks like this same Constitution is something that is being quoted forth and back. And another part of the section of the Constitution that has also been advanced, in this whole issue, has been the section 105 subsection 3, which says that the responsibility for the proclamation of the commencement of the State House of Assembly rests exclusively with the governor. And that's what the governor said he has used. So why should the National Assembly now ask the governor to make a fresh proclamation, which he had earlier done?
We felt in our investigation, we felt in that section 2, I think there is nothing wrong with the provision of the Constitution regarding to making laws by state legislator for the good of the state, regarding to National Assembly taking over the legislative mandate of a state assembly in the case of Edo and Bauchi, that the position of the House is to take over if the needful is not being done. There is equally nothing wrong in the section you quoted that talk about issuing proclamation. What our committee said is, yes, nobody is contesting the fact that it is state governors that have the prerogative by virtue of our Constitution to issue proclamation. But what we are saying is, how do we issue proclamation? Do you issue proclamation without the time? And again, the same judiciary have had series of pronouncements regarding to the timing of the legislative business of each assembly, be it the House of Representatives, the Senate or State Assembly. The normal moment that is allowed for a State House of Assembly to function is between 9 to 4 p.m. Or if the law permit, you increase it to 6 or 9 based on the exigency of the demand at the moment. But what we are saying is, the governor issued proclamation on the 14th to the House of Assembly in Edo. The clerk received the proclamation on the 14th for the Edo State Assembly to be constituted on the 17th. 14th being Friday.
Right.
Where is the fairness to warrant the fact that the publication, the clerk did not did not bring to notice of the public that proclamation that was given to him for a house to be constituted on the 17th until on the 19th, after the inauguration must have been done.
Honorable Yusuf, we need to hasten.
We have queried the proclamation.
We need to hasten.
The governor is the person that has the right to issue proclamation.
Right. Let me butt in now. We need to hasten our conversation because of our limited time, though. But then recall the 2015 incidents of the 8th Assembly with the members of the APC not present while other members present on the platform, on the floor to perform a voting exercise, which led to the emergence of former Senate President Bukola Saraki and former Speaker Dogara. Nothing changed until they ended their tenures. So what makes Edo State different in this instance?
There are two different cases. In the case of 2015, where that election that brought Senate President Bukola Saraki, the president issued proclamation. The venue of the proclamation was stated. The time for the proclamation was clearly stipulated to be 9 a.m. in the morning. Invitations were sent to senators-elect. They know the time that the House should be convened, and they decide to go for meetings. But in the case of Edo, there is no single, the publication of the governor's proclamation in the National Vanguard comes on the 19th of June 2019 after the inauguration was done on the 17th. This is what the National Assembly is talking about. You need to properly communicate members that are going to be inaugurated. Remember, inauguration of an assembly is quite different from normal legislative business of an assembly. A normal legislative business, you know that you have sitting on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you like, come. If you like, don't come. But in the case of inauguration, this is maybe some members, that would be the first time they were elected to represent their constituency in the Edo State Assembly. They need to come with their spouses. They need to dress well. There should be decorum. In the case of 2015, the case of Bukola Saraki, senators dressed well. Their spouses were invited. The time was communicated to them. The date was communicated. This is a quite different thing.
Okay, that been answered. That
Edo State.
That
Some
been
members
answered.
doesn't know the time of the inauguration.
That been answered.
And again, with utmost respect. Yes.
That been answered. Now, Governor Obaseki said that the National Assembly is acting under political pressure from highly placed individuals whose intentions are to control the state. Is that the case?
I am a member of that committee. I'm not under any political pressure. I am elected to represent Nigeria, to represent the people of Panshinkan Kekana. And the best I can do for posterity to judge me right, to go in line with my oath of office and oath of allegiance, is to discharge my duties to the best of my ability and not to allow any personal interest influence my official decision. The only thing I saw wrong with the case of Edo, if the time of the inauguration was properly indicated in that proclamation, I would not have belonged to the school of thought that say, Governor, issue another proclamation. Again, if the clerk properly communicates the content of the proclamation issued by the governor on the 14th to the entire 24 members of Edo Assembly, I would not have belonged to. They will sign the report that says issued another proclamation.
Anyway,
and lastly, yes.
Anyway, lastly, make your point. Make your point quickly.
And lastly, if for instance, the advertisement of the proclamation issued by the governor of Edo was carried in the national daily before 17th of June 2019, we wouldn't have contested his decision. But for the fact that those things were not done and inauguration was conducted by 9 o'clock out of the respected legislative business time of the State Assembly, to me something is faulty. And for us to ensure unity, is either the governor issued new proclamation and asked the 24 members to go and exercise their franchise, or the National Assembly do the needful until the court decision.
Anyway, Honorable Yusuf, at least we have had different narratives here and there. Is this whole thing connected to the gameplay to deny Governor Obaseki the second-term ticket, as some of them have alleged?
In as much as people will want to drag the National Assembly into the politics of Edo, I don't think they will succeed in doing that. In as much as Edo, Governor Obaseki, or Shomole Adams, comrades, and whosoever may have their political differences, we are not interested in the politics of Edo. What we are interested is, if people are fighting, we shouldn't watch as members of the National Assembly and allow people that should benefit dividend of democracy suffer. And we shouldn't allow our democratic principle to be suffocated. We must do the needful in ensuring that people have elected their representative. Let the representative of the people represent them. As it is in Edo, when you allow 12 members to function and 12 are not functioning because of political differences, it's not for the good of other people that have elected people to go and represent them. What we are after as a National Assembly is to ensure that there is amicable resolution, and that is why, instead of us to, even in the first instance, having a motion being brought on the floor of the National Assembly, the prayer of that motion was for us to take over on that day. But we say no, let there be fairness. We need to give some certain openings for political resolution. If they refuse to tackle it, definitely the Constitution of Nigeria will sort out that problem.
If that is the reason why the National Assembly is coming into this controversy, but the Edo State government says that it has a restraining order against the National Assembly, the security agencies, the party, and the regents. So Is the National Assembly not trying to usurp the function of the courts in this respect? Are you there, Honorable Yusuf? All right, I think we're having some issues with the connection with Honorable Yusuf, who has been speaking with us live in Abuja concerning the Edo State crisis, which is going on within the APC. And what people have been saying is that it's within, this issue is between the APC members in Edo State, saying that some people are loyal, some politicians are loyal to the incumbent governor, Godwin Obaseki, as well as the chairman of the APC, the All Progressives Congress, saying that this, and also some have also alleged that it is just an attempt to deny Godwin Obaseki a second-term ticket. But then our guest just a little earlier said that is not the issue, that is not the case here, but the main thing is to find lasting solution to all of these. We'll take a break at this point in time and see whether we can reconnect with our guest who was speaking with us live in Abuja. We'll be back in just a moment. Watching Standpoint, and thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with Honorable Yusuf Gagdi, who is live for us in Abuja on the controversy. Now, Honorable Yusuf, well, we have to go now, but then can there be, we are so much concerned about solution. Can this controversy be politically solved? Because this is just between two members of political party, or let's say among people who belong to the same political party.
I saw pictures in the case of Bauchi, where, whether it is true or not true, but I saw it pictorially, where a faction that were not inaugurated in Bauchi were inaugurated. If that picture is not Photoshop, is true, it means therefore that the intervention of the National Assembly in Bauchi has given result, that the governor was able to harmonize the two factions of the Bauchi State Assembly for amicable resolution. If we don't want political solution, we wouldn't in the first instance have put a committee in place to go and investigate. But in the spirit of fairness, in the spirit of new principle that is introduced by Speaker Bajabi Amila, we say let there be fairness to everybody. A member cannot just bring motion and say take over, then we took over. It has happened in the past assembly, where motions were brought on the floor of the House of Representatives and the resolution is to take over, and they took over. But in the case of the 9th Assembly, we say go and find out, go and investigate. Having investigated and reported with the lacunas we have found out in the proclamation issued by Governor Obaseki, we still say let's give 1 week. Senate said let's give 1 week. The purpose of giving that gap is to enable the governor come in and try to harmonize the differences within the State Assembly for amicable resolution. So the National Assembly too is conscious of the fact that there should be an opening for political solution. And by the special grace of God, I pray that in the wisdom of the governor, he should be able to play the fatherly role by inviting the 12 members of Edo State Assembly to harmonize in position so that there won't be the consequences of the position of both the Senate and that of the House of Representatives in the case of Edo. So we are expecting that the governor should be able to play leadership role by sorting out the problem politically without allowing the National Assembly to come to terms with its own resolution.
All right, let me be very open on that. But then before we call it a wrap on the program, I would like to get your opinion concerning the just concluded screening exercise that went on in the National Assembly, where ministers designate are now confirmed. Why do you think the portfolio has not been assigned to the ministers so far? Because this has really got so many Nigerians talking.
In the first instance, people compare Nigeria's democracy with developed democracies. I think it is wrong. Everything about Nigeria needs to be carefully done. We don't need to rush some of those things. The responsibility of the legislator is to screen the minister and confirm them. The power to allocate portfolio to ministers that are screened is absolutely the prerogative of the president. And I think if you maybe get someone from the executive arm of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to respond to why the president is able to, as a matter of fact, appoint portfolio, it will be better. But to me too, for the good of our democracy, before you send lists of ministers to the National Assembly, you should be able to know who should do what and how. And so that there won't be this gap to be able to give opening for political opponents, to those that are constructive and those that are political in their opinion, to attack government unnecessarily. In my personal view, there would have been no need of this gap. There would have been no need of the fact that senators suspended all their parliamentary engagement to consider screening of ministers. Until this moment, portfolios are not appointed to them. But again, I understand the demand, the fact that government need to be very, very modest and careful in assigning who should handle what. But to God be the glory, the most important thing is lists have been submitted to the Senate. The Senate have approved, they have confirmed the list so submitted by the President. And I think the President is listening to various pressures by Nigerians that are willing to know the portfolios of the people that will represent them in the National Executive Council.
Right, thank you very kindly for finding time to come on the show this time. Honorable Yusuf Gagdi, representing Kanke Pakistan Kanam Federal Constituency of Plateau State. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that's our package on today's edition of Standpoints. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can watch a repeat of this edition tomorrow by 7:30 a.m. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Enjoy your weekend. Bye now.